Let's get into that first story. The ANC and its alliance partners, that's the SACP as well as COSATU, kick off their three-day Lekgotla in Kempton Park on the Gauteng's East Rand today. Now, the gathering will, among others, review the implementation of the party's 2024 priorities. They also hope to develop the organization's program of action for 2025. Junior Kumalo covering that story as we made note of. Junior, we've had that conversation around Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal happen. We had the January 8th statement, which of course brought forward quite a few parts of what it is that the ANC would like to do then for the remainder of this year in particular. And now we meet again for a Lekgotla. What happens this time around? What are they going to say?
Arabile, I would want to take the ANC National spokesperson, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri, who's already talking to some of our media colleagues. So let me just put my mic so that we hear what she has to say.
The January 8th tasks are carried into the work that goes forward. We know that government is going to be holding a Lekgotla. We want our deployees to be fully armed to engage at that level.
When you look at the cabinet Lekgotla next week on the 29th to the 30th, you've got an issue of the expropriation bill currently, or expropriation act now signed by the president. As the ANC, how are you going to deal with this, with the Democratic Alliance having a press briefing later this afternoon saying this is a serious issue and that could effectively affect their participation in the government of national unity?
Well, you know, this piece of legislation follows a very sustained discussion, very sustained public participation process driven by Parliament, where civil society, a cross-section of sectors contributed to what we now have as the expropriation bill. So it is not something that where you can doubt how consultative the process was or how consulted the process was. That's the first point. And to the DA, they were part of that process every step of the way. And so we do expect that it will be implemented. We expect the president to do the right thing and to take into account the views of all South Africans and not just one political party. Going to court, obviously nobody can stop anyone from exercising what they believe are their rights in law. But we are absolutely convicted that this was a groundbreaking ascension by the president of this particular piece of legislation. It must also indicate that there has been instances where the ANC gets threatened by the DA within the context of the government of national unity. And we don't take those threats lightly, but at the same time we are very focused on ensuring that we deliver on the expectations of our people, one of which is land redistribution.
All right, sorry, Moloko here. When you say deliberations that will emerge out of here will inform government's program of action, you're not governing alone. How then do you balance the views, ideological orientation that completely differs from yours, seeing that you have a variety of other political parties that are in government now?
Thank you very much. I mean, we enjoy 40% of the national vote share. We are the largest party in government. That is why we have a president who is from the African National Congress. The electoral losses that we suffered still does not take away the fact that we are the largest party in South Africa. Secondly, of course, the spirit within the government of national unity is that of driving consensus as much as possible, is that of looking after the interests of the people of South Africa. Just like any other process, everything gets negotiated. But just as I was speaking about the expropriation bill, you can turn around in 2025 and basically sully a process that's taken almost 5 years and then want us to go back. We can't go back. South Africans can't go back as far as that is concerned. So consensus is the name of the game within the government of national unity. But as the ANC, we're very sure that the set of policies that we have, if implemented, will benefit the majority of South Africans.
Do you expect this to go to the clearinghouse?
At this point, I'm not in a position to say it will go to the clearinghouse because that will be the call that government must make, and the ANC will make its views known at the right time. At this point, we are quite happy with what has happened. We expect accelerated movement in as far as addressing the issues of land and ownership patterns in South Africa.
Once a decision is taken on Monday on the province of KwaZulu-Natal, are you expecting any rumblings to happen on the ground? We are told there is mobilization taking on the ground to rebel against the decision of the NWC.
Well, we are not aware of the mobilization that is said to be taking place on the ground. I've heard rumors of that, but we cannot apportion that to our leadership in KZN and to our comrades and members in KZN. What we do know that the ANC does practice a principle called democratic centralism, which enjoins the two provinces to accept decisions that are going to be made and decisions that will be communicated to those provinces, and make sure that we all work together to rebuild the organization. Should there be any member of the ANC that is unhappy with the decision or wants to get further explanation about this decision, we can just indicate to our structures that the leadership of the ANC will be going to these regions, to the regions in the two provinces, to the PECs, all the way to the branches, to ensure that we don't just communicate via formal correspondence, but we have an interaction with our branches.
Thank you very much, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri.
Arabile, that is the national spokesperson of the ANC, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri. They're just talking about a number of issues. Last weekend, the ANC's National Executive Committee met to discuss the issue of Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, the dismal electoral performance there, and what would happen to those PECs. The party has decided to reconfigure the two PECs in those two provinces. We do expect the national officials to come back with a decision on how they're going to be reconfigured on Monday. So that is another big issue that is top of discussion, that is also expected to be shared with the ANC alliance partners as the ANC's Lekgotla gets underway today, Arabil.
Yeah, so many aspects of just what is going to happen moving forward. I mean, the party in itself certainly needs to give a sense. Now, yes, we've now just spoken about expropriation without compensation there, Junior, if I may haul you in onto this one. But does it feel like this is the party that's now looking for identity or looking for direction? Because it may have lost who it really is in essence and now has to maintain the stance of we're still the biggest party in the country, but you've lost your majority.
Not even just we are still the biggest party, but it's an undertaking by the ANC's leadership to prove even to its own alliance partners that we are still committed to those manifesto commitments that we made last year before the ANC went into the elections. They did make a lot of commitments. Land expropriation was among those commitments that the ANC made. It also spoke about trying to reduce unemployment as another way of trying to convince South Africans that the ANC is still a relevant party, especially last year when the party was celebrating about 30 years of democracy and being at the helm of this country. So even as they go into this Lekgotla, they are going to try and show their alliance partners that these are some of the bills that have now been signed into an act. Even though we do not have a majority, we were able to push through some of these bills. The Bella Act is one of those that the president will obviously say we managed to push this through, even with the Democratic Alliance not being happy with it. Some of those two clauses were put at hold from September until December last year, but now the Bella Act has been signed in its entirety into an act. The Land Expropriation Act as well, that has been signed by the president, is another thing that we do expect the ANC to put on the table and show the SACP that despite us going into power with parties such as the DA that don't support such policies, we have been able to push it through. So those are going to be the tough discussions that are going to be happening. Also, we know the SACP is unhappy with the ANC's national chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, over some of the utterances that he made in Cape Town to say that the SACP has ulterior motives. This is why it does not like the GNU. They would have wanted the national chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, to explain himself. But the understanding is that he's not going to be in this meeting. He is actually going to be leading the ANC's 130th birthday celebrations in Mpumalanga later today, Arabi.